Ever feel like your get up and go, just up and left, like where to go? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. It's a pretty common thing, especially as guys get older. And it's not just about, like, losing your muscles or anything.
Right, it's more than that.
Way more. It's about this hormone, testosterone, that really impacts almost everything. Your energy, your mood, how sharp you feel, even your confidence.
Yes, it's like that feeling of being on, just fades away. But before we get into solutions and all that, what's actually happening in our bodies as we age? What's the science behind it all?
So basically, after 30, our bodies decide to produce less testosterone. It's like a slow and steady decline that can actually speed up depending on what you're doing, how you're living your life. And this is where that article you sent comes in, it talks about how stress, a bad diet, not enough sleep, all that stuff can make things worse.
So it's not just an inevitable thing. Like, there are things we can actually do something about.
For sure. It's not a one-way street. Our bodies need certain things to produce testosterone. Think about stress for a second. When you're constantly stressed out, your cortisol levels go through the roof, and that directly messes with testosterone.
Ah, okay, so it's like a 1-2 punch. The stress gets you, and then
your body's too busy dealing with the stress to keep up with everything else.
Yeah.
And if you're not giving your body the right fuel, the right nutrients, enough rest, it's like trying to run a marathon with, like, flip-flops on.
Makes sense. So where does this testosterone thing come in? This article is claiming a huge increase in testosterone. I think they said 434%, which honestly sounds a little too good to be true. What's the real story there?
Okay, yeah, so we got to be careful with those big numbers, right? That 434% figure, that's specifically from a study about KSM-66 ashwagandha.
KSM what now?
KSM-66 ashwagandha. It's one of the main ingredients in Testosil. And that particular study focused on men dealing with infertility because of low testosterone.
Yeah.
So yeah, impressive results, but you got to see the whole picture,
Okay, so not a magic pill, but still sounds pretty promising. What else is in this Testosil formula? The article was really hyping up this unique blend.
It's true. They're doing something different, which is kind of cool, in a world full of those secret formulas. So besides that KSM-66 we were just talking about, it's got fenugreek, which is known for keeping your hormones balanced.
Which is key, right? We don't want to fix one thing and mess up another.
Exactly. Got to have that balance. Then there's ZMA, that's zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 all rolled into one. Each of those is super important for, actually making testosterone and just overall health.
It's like they're covering all the bases. What about this D-aspartic acid thing? I keep seeing that everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that one's interesting. Basically, it's like a messenger. Tells your body, hey, we need more testosterone here.
A hormonal wake-up call. Okay, I like it. Anything else?
Let's see. Oh, they've also got vitamin D3 and boron in there. People don't talk about them enough, but those two are vital for keeping everything in check, especially with hormones.
Okay, so stress management, hormone balancing, essential nutrients. That sounds pretty comprehensive. But the skeptic in me wants to know, how does this actually play out in the real world? What are people saying about their results?
That's the big question, right? Well, the article actually follows this one guy who used Testosil for 2 months, and the changes he experienced are pretty impressive, like a really interesting stuff.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about his experience. What kind of transformations are we talking about here?
So for the first 2 weeks, the changes were pretty subtle. He was sleeping better, had a little more energy, that kind of thing.
Just subtle improvements, laying the groundwork, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then, around weeks 3 and 4, things started to get noticeable. Like, he had more energy, was doing better at the gym, even started to see some muscle definition.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's starting to kick in. Did it last?
Oh, yeah. Weeks 5 and 6, he was getting stronger, recovering faster after workouts. He even said his mood was better, felt more focused. And get this, the article mentioned some bedroom benefits.
Okay, all right. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's amazing how everything's connected. What about weeks 7 and 8? Did he keep seeing results, or did it fizzle out?
It definitely did not fizzle out. He said it was a complete transformation, like night and day. Leaner body, consistent energy, his mind was sharper, just feeling good overall,
Wow, that's quite a transformation. It really does sound like this Testosil could be a game changer for a lot of men out there dealing with this whole age-related slowdown. But before we get too excited, let's take a step back. Look at the bigger picture here. How does Testosil compare to other testosterone boosters? Or even something like testosterone replacement therapy, TRT?
You're right. That's the big question. The supplement world can be tough to navigate. It's easy to get lost in all the noise. But that's why I think this deep dive is so important. The article makes a pretty strong case for Testosil, especially compared to other options and even TRT.
Okay, so what makes Testosil different? What sets it apart?
Well, first off, it's the ingredients, the quality of what they're using. They're not hiding behind some proprietary blend or anything like that. Testosil's all about transparency. They list everything out, tell you exactly what you're getting, and the dosages are legit, backed by actual research.
I do appreciate that, the transparency. It's like you should know what you're putting into your body, right? Especially when we're talking about hormones.
Right. And that actually leads into another big advantage.
Yeah.
The cost. The article was saying that because they use high quality stuff and they're not spending a ton of money on marketing, it's actually more budget friendly, which is huge, especially compared to TRT, which can get pretty expensive.
Yeah, and TRT is not something to take lightly. It's a big decision. But what about safety? Are there downsides to Testosil that we should know about?
It's a good question. Always got to ask that with any supplement. The good news is, because it's all natural ingredients, it's generally considered safe. But of course, always good to start slow. Maybe try a lower dose first and see how your body reacts.
That's just good advice in general, right? Start slow. See how you feel.
Exactly. And of course, always, always, always talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you've got any health conditions or you're on medication.
Couldn't agree more. Better to be safe than sorry. So it seems like Testosil has a lot going for it, the research, people's experiences, but it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution, right?
You got it. Everyone's different. It's about making smart choices, talking to your doctor, that kind of thing.
Makes sense. You know, going back to those impressive stories from the article, what was it about that one guy's journey that really stood out to you?
I think it was how well his experience lined up with what we usually see, like the typical timeline for testosterone optimization. Those first few weeks, the changes are small, barely noticeable, like you said, laying the groundwork.
Yeah, prepping for the main event.
Right. And then, as the weeks go by, those little changes start to build on each other. He's getting stronger, feeling better, his body's changing.
It's like that snowball effect, right? Small changes lead to bigger things over time.
Exactly. And of course, everyone's different. Everyone will see results at their own pace. But the point is, you got to stick with it. Be patient. Optimizing your testosterone, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's about making those changes that last, giving your body what it needs to rebalance and thrive.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a journey.
Love that. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. The science, the real life stuff, the good, the maybe not so good. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to shift gears a bit, talk about testosterone more broadly.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
So we've established that testosterone is important, like really important for men's health. And yeah, supplements like Testosil can play a role, but what about other stuff? Like what about the way we live our lives? How does that affect testosterone?
You're hitting on a really crucial point. Supplements can be great, but they work best when you're also living a healthy lifestyle. It all ties together.
Exactly. So for the guys listening, what are some of the most important lifestyle changes they can make to naturally boost their testosterone? What should they focus on?
Number one, hands down, is sleep. When you sleep well, your body goes into repair mode, and that's when testosterone production is at its peak.
That makes a lot of sense. We've all felt that crash after a bad night's sleep.
For sure. And it's not just about how many hours you're clocking in, it's about the quality of sleep, too.
So like a good bedtime routine, no screens before bed, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Make your bedroom your sleep sanctuary. Dark, cool, and quiet. That's the goal. And then there's stress.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier, but chronic stress is like kryptonite to testosterone.
Right. Cortisol goes up, testosterone goes down. It's a battle we don't want.
Exactly. So finding healthy ways to manage stress, whether it's exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, whatever works for you, that's crucial. And we can't forget about food. What you eat matters.
It always comes back to food, doesn't it? So what, like, ditch the junk food and load up on the good stuff?
You got it.
Yeah.
Protein, healthy fats, zinc, magnesium, all those nutrients are key for testosterone production. Give your body the building blocks it needs. And last but definitely not least, don't underestimate the power of exercise.
Yeah, hitting the gym gets the blood flowing.
Exactly. Especially resistance training, like lifting weights. It's like sending a signal to your body, hey, we need to be strong here.
Right, like we're not just lying down on the job here. We're up, we're active, we need to be strong physically and mentally.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, all these lifestyle changes, they don't just help your testosterone. They benefit your overall health and well-being. It's all connected.
It's like that holistic approach, right? Taking care of your whole self, not just chasing after one specific thing.
Exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your body's natural ability to thrive.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the science, we've talked about real-life experiences, potential downsides, and even the importance of lifestyle. What would you say is the key takeaway here for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this isn't just about getting ripped or reliving your glory days, you know. It's about feeling good, feeling vital, having that zest for life. Testosterone affects so many things. Your energy, your mood, how sharp you feel mentally, even your relationships.
It's about getting that feeling back, that on feeling, mentally sharp, physically energized, emotionally resilient, the whole package. And while Testosil definitely seems promising, I think it's important to remember that it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. Everyone's different.
Right.
What worked for one person might not work for another. It's about doing your research, talking to your doctor, and finding what works best for you. This is just the starting point.
Exactly. This is just the beginning of the conversation. We'll be back in a bit to delve deeper into those KSM-66 ashwagandha studies and see what they really tell us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this quick break.
All right, so we're back and ready to dig deeper into this whole testosterone thing.
Before the break, we were talking about those user testimonials, those amazing stories. But do those hold up when we look at the actual science? Or are we getting a little ahead of ourselves?
Great, that's what we're here to find out, right?
Yeah.
Personal experiences are great and all, but we got to see what the research says, what the experts are saying. And the good news is a lot of the stuff in Testosil, especially that KSM-66 ashwagandha, has been studied like crazy.
Okay, that's good to hear. So it's not just anecdotal stuff. There's actual science backing this up. What are some of the key findings about this KSM-66 in testosterone?
One study that really jumped out at me looked at guys dealing with infertility because of stress. Turns out, when they took KSM-66 ashwagandha, their testosterone levels improved a lot, along with other things important for, reproductive health, like sperm count.
Stress and infertility, that's a big deal. And it's not talked about enough. It's pretty amazing that something like KSM-66 could help with that. But what about for guys who aren't necessarily dealing with infertility, but are just, feeling the effects of age? Is there research on that too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's this other study looked at healthy guys who are experiencing that typical age-related decline in testosterone.
Yes.
And guess what? The guys who took KSM-66, they saw a big jump in their testosterone levels compared to the guys who didn't.
Interesting. So we're seeing positive results in different groups of men. That's a good sign, right?
They do. Fenugreek, for example. There's research showing that it can help with testosterone and libido, which is always a good thing, right? And then you've got your ZMA, the zinc, magnesium, vitamin B6 combo. Those are all essential nutrients that play a big role in testosterone production.
It's like giving your body the tools it needs to do its job, right?
Exactly. You can't build a house without the right materials. And that's one of the things I like about Testosil. It's not just focusing on one thing. It's taking this multifaceted approach, providing those essential nutrients in the right amounts.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's switch gears for a second. What about potential downsides? Are there side effects, risks we should know about?
That's a really important question to ask with any supplement. The good news is, because Testosil uses natural ingredients, it's generally considered safe. But of course, everyone's different. It's always a good idea to start slow, maybe try a smaller dose at first, just to see how your body reacts.
Levels in your body, right.
Exactly. And of course, always talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement, especially if you're dealing with any health issues or taking medication.
I can't stress that enough. So while Testosil seems promising, based on the research, it's not a magic bullet, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. What works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding what works best for you.
Totally. Something we touched on earlier, those impressive results people are seeing. The guy in the article, his experience, I'm curious to dive a little deeper into that. What really stood out to you about his journey?
I think what struck me the most was how his experience lined up with the science, with what we typically see in terms of how testosterone optimization actually works. Those first few weeks, the changes are subtle, almost unnoticeable.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, laying the groundwork.
Exactly. And then, as the weeks go by, those small changes start to build on each other. Strength improves, energy goes up, mood gets better, and even body composition starts to shift.
It's like a snowball effect, those small, consistent changes building up over time, leading to something significant.
Exactly. And that's an important reminder. It's not about quick fixes. It's about consistency. Give it time, be patient, and you'll start to see those results.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
You got it.
Okay, so we've talked about the science behind Testosil, we've explored real-life experiences, talked about the potential downsides, and even the importance of consistency. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to zoom out a bit, look at the bigger picture of testosterone and, what it means for men's health overall.
Okay, I like it. Broadening the perspective.
We've established that testosterone is important, like really important for men's health, and supplements like Testosil can be helpful. But what about other things? Lifestyle choices, that kind of thing? How does that all tie in?
That's huge. Supplements can be a valuable tool, but they work best as part of a holistic approach. You got to look at the whole picture.
So for all the guys listening, what are some key lifestyle changes they can make to naturally boost their testosterone?
Well, if you want to optimize your testosterone, you have to prioritize sleep. I can't emphasize that enough. When you sleep, your body goes into repair and recovery mode, and that's when testosterone production is at its peak.
Sleep is so underrated.
Tell me about it. And it's not just about the quantity, it's the quality of your sleep that matters most.
So like having a good bedtime routine, making sure your bedroom is dark and quiet, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Create a sleep sanctuary. And then there's stress. We talked about this earlier, but stress is a major testosterone killer.
Right, that whole cortisol testosterone seesaw.
Exactly. So finding healthy ways to manage stress, whether it's meditation, exercise, spending time outdoors, whatever works for you, that's crucial. And we can't forget about nutrition.
Food. Always comes back to food.
It really does. You are what you eat, right?
Yeah.
So ditch the processed junk and focus on whole, nutrient-dense foods. Things like protein, healthy fats, zinc, magnesium, those are all essential for testosterone production.
Okay, so good sleep, manage stress, eat right. What else?
Don't forget about exercise, especially resistance training, like lifting weights. It's like sending a signal to your body. We're not just sitting around here. We need to be strong.
I like it. Challenge your body, challenge your mind.
And the best part is, all these lifestyle changes, they don't just benefit your testosterone. They benefit your overall health and well-being. It's all connected.
It's that holistic approach again.
Yeah, exactly. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your body's natural ability to thrive.
I love that. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about the science behind testosterone decline, dove into the potential benefits and drawbacks of Testosil, and we even unpacked the power of lifestyle changes in optimizing this crucial hormone.
It's been a really fascinating conversation, and I think we've provided our listeners with a lot to think about. But before we wrap things up, there's one more crucial point I want to touch upon.
Okay, what else should our listeners keep in mind?
Well, we've been focusing on the science, on individual choices, but we can't forget about the bigger picture. Societal expectations, the pressures that men face, all that plays a role too, It can really impact how men view their health and well-being.
That's a great point. It's like sometimes those societal norms can actually prevent men from taking care of themselves or even talking about their health concerns, and that can have serious consequences.
Exactly. It's time to break free from those old school ideas and create a culture where men feel comfortable taking care of themselves, both physically and mentally, without feeling ashamed or judged.
Yes. Normalize those conversations, support each other.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that true strength comes from vulnerability, from being authentic, from being willing to grow and evolve.
Couldn't agree more. So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the science of testosterone to the social stuff that shapes our health. I hope our listeners are feeling empowered to take control of their well-being, challenge those old beliefs, and create a new, more supportive definition of what it means to be a man.
Beautifully said.
And on that note, let's move on to part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll unpack those fascinating KSM-66 ashwagandha studies and see what they really tell us. Stay tuned. All right, so we're back. Ready to jump into those KSM-66 ashwagandha studies. I'm really curious to see what they reveal about this powerful ingredient.
Yeah, there's some really interesting research out there. One study I wanted to highlight focused specifically on men with stress-related fatigue. They wanted to see if KSM-66 could help improve their energy levels and overall well-being.
Okay, so kind of like what we were talking about earlier, that link between stress and testosterone.
Exactly. And the results were pretty impressive. The men who took KSM-66 for 8 weeks reported significant improvements in their energy levels, mental clarity, and even their social functioning compared to the placebo group.
Interesting. So it's not just about physical energy, but mental energy and even social energy, too.
Exactly. It's like KSM-66 helps your body and mind better cope with stress, which then frees up your energy to, actually live your life.
That makes a lot of sense. And I bet those improvements in energy levels probably had a positive ripple effect on other areas of their lives too, right?
Oh, absolutely. When you have more energy, you feel better, you're more productive, more social, more motivated. It's like this upward spiral of well-being.
I like it. The upward spiral of well-being. That's what we're all after, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about feeling good in the moment. The study also found that KSM-66 helped improve the participants' sleep quality, which, as we discussed earlier, is absolutely crucial for testosterone production and overall health.
Right. It all ties together. Better sleep, more energy, healthier hormones. It's like a chain reaction.
Exactly. And it's not just about individual studies either. There's a growing body of research supporting the benefits of KSM-66 ashwagandha for stress management, testosterone optimization, and overall well-being.
It's like this ancient herb that's finally getting the recognition it deserves, backed by modern science.
I think so. It's really exciting to see these traditional remedies being validated by rigorous research.
Okay, so we've covered the science behind KSM-66, explored the potential benefits of Testosil, and we even dove into the power of lifestyle choices in optimizing testosterone levels. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the final takeaway message you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that it's never too late to take control of your health and well-being. Whether you're dealing with age-related changes, feeling the effects of stress, or just looking to optimize your vitality, there are things you can do today to make a difference.
I love that. It's a message of empowerment, of taking charge of your own health.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Start small, make gradual changes, and be patient with yourself.
It's about progress, not perfection, right?
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. Talk to your doctor, reach out to a qualified healthcare professional, and build a support system that empowers you to thrive.
Well said. It's been an absolute pleasure exploring this topic with you today. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
The pleasure was all mine.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you found this deep dive informative and empowering. Remember, knowledge is power, and the journey to reclaiming your vigor starts with a single step. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay well.